Welcome back. Opening scene: the 1990 Lamborghini Diablo, a car that defined a generation and set the stage for the supercar wars of the 90s. A machine built with pure passion, raw performance, and a design that still turns heads more than 30 years later. Today, we're diving deep into what made this Italian beast one of the most iconic Lamborghinis of all time. Let's rewind to the late 1980s. Lamborghini was at a crossroads. The legendary Countach had ruled the streets for over a decade, but it was showing its age. The world was changing, and so were supercars. Ferrari had the F40, Porsche had the 959, and Lamborghini needed something spectacular to stay in the game. Enter the Diablo, a name that translates to devil in Spanish, perfectly fitting for the Raging Bull's next chapter. Designed by Marcello Gandini, the same genius behind the Countach and Miura, the Diablo was meant to be aggressive, exotic, and futuristic. However, Chrysler had acquired Lamborghini in the late 80s and made some last-minute refinements, smoothing out some of Gandini's original sharp edges to improve aerodynamics. The result: a car that looked like it came straight from the future, low, wide, and menacing, with those signature scissor doors that made every entrance feel like a dramatic event. But the Diablo wasn't just about looks. Under the engine cover sat a monstrous 5.7-liter naturally aspirated V12. It produced 485 horsepower and 428 pounds-to-feet of torque, mind-blowing numbers for the time. All that power went straight to the rear wheels through a 5-speed manual transmission, making it an absolute handful to drive. But that's what made it special. There were no electronic assists, no fancy computers, just you, the car, and the open road. It demanded respect, and if you didn't treat it right, it could bite back. Performance-wise, the Diablo was a game-changer. It could rocket from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 4.5 seconds and had a top speed of 202 miles per hour, making it the fastest production car in the world when it debuted. That title alone cemented its status as a true supercar legend. But speed wasn't the only thing the Diablo offered. It had the drama, the sound, and the attitude that made every drive feel like an event. Inside, the Diablo was surprisingly luxurious for its time. Unlike the Countach, which was known for its cramped, almost hostile cabin, the Diablo had more comfort, better ergonomics, and even power windows, are something that wasn't always guaranteed in exotic cars of the era. However, it still had that unmistakable Lamborghini feel. The dashboard was filled with fighter jet-style gauges, the gated shifter clanked with every shift, and the seats hugged you in place, reminding you that this was a car built for serious driving. But driving a Diablo wasn't for the faint of heart. With all that power going to the rear wheels and no traction control, it was a beast to handle, especially in wet conditions. The steering was heavy, the clutch was stiff, and visibility was a broken bar. Well, let's just say you had to rely on instincts when backing up. But those who mastered it were rewarded with one of the most exhilarating driving experiences of all time. Over the years, Lamborghini introduced several variants of the Diablo. The 1993 Diablo VT brought all-wheel drive for improved handling. The 1995 Diablo SE30 was a lightweight, track-focused version celebrating Lamborghini's 30th anniversary, and the 1999 Diablo SV pushed power up to 530 horsepower. Each version added something unique, but the original 1990 Diablo remained pure, raw, and untamed, a true driver's car. One of the most unforgettable things about the Diablo was its soundtrack. That V12 wasn't just an engine, it was a symphony of mechanical perfection. At low revs, it growled like an angry beast, but as you climbed past 6,000 revolutions per minute, it screamed in a way that only an Italian V12 could. It was the kind of sound that sent shivers down your spine, a sound that defined an era of unfiltered, naturally aspirated power. But beyond the numbers and the specs, the Diablo was special because of the emotions it created. It was the kind of car that made kids put posters on their walls, the kind that made people stop and stare, the kind that felt alive every time you turned the key. It wasn't about being the most practical, the easiest to drive, or the most comfortably. It was about passion, excitement, and pure automotive theater. Today, the Diablo is a collector's dream. Prices have been climbing steadily, and for good reason. It represents the last of the analog Lamborghinis before the brand shifted towards modern technology and electronic aids. It's a snapshot of a time when supercars were wild, unpredictable, and utterly thrilling. So, what's it like to own one today? Well, it's not exactly a daily driver. Maintenance costs are high, parts can be difficult to find, and working on that V12 requires a skilled hand. But for those lucky enough to own one, the experience is worth every penny. It's not just a car, it's an event, a piece of history, and a reminder of a time when Lamborghini built machines that were as terrifying as they were beautiful. In the world of supercars, few names carry as much weight as the Diablo. It wasn't just a successor to the Countach, it was a revolution. It pushed boundaries, redefined speed, and set the tone for Lamborghinis to come. Even today, it remains one of the most iconic, breathtaking, and unforgettable cars ever made. And that's the magic of the Diablo. It's not just about performance stats or lap time, so it's about the feeling it gives you. The thrill of hearing that V12 roar, the rush of accelerating down an open road, the sheer drama of stepping out of those iconic scissor doors. It's a car that leaves a lasting impression, one that will forever be remembered as a legend of the supercar world.